Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 9 o'clock here on Thursday night, time for the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9. I'm watching your comments on the 14 News Facebook page, so we'll answer your questions a little bit later on. And I can't turn this camera back around to see the moon, but it's full, it's beautiful, it's unobscured, and it will get into a partial lunar eclipse tonight. So hopefully you'll get to check that out. The max time there is at about 11:15. After that, we have a couple of warm days, Friday and Saturday, and then triple-digit heat index values possible as temps climb into the upper 90s for the first part of next week. Now, the eclipse will start here at about 9:34, so about a half an hour from now, you'll start to see the shadow of the Earth nibbling away at that full moon. We will reach the full coverage here, and it's not going to be a total eclipse. It'll be partial, but the maximum eclipse will occur at 11:12, and then the moon will be completely back to normal programming a little after 1 a.m. So I don't know if anybody will sit and watch the whole thing. You might time-lapse it, but that's what's going on out there. And the moon will actually take on kind of a coppery or red hue as the Earth's shadow moves over it, and that may be aided by some of that Canadian smoke that's still in the air overhead. No rain, of course, tonight. We did get a few thunderstorms last night, and that's pretty much it for the time being. We have no thunderstorm chance for the tri-state for the next 3 days. No clouds moving in either. This is going to be a snoozer of a weather show, I can tell you already. When there's no weather, it gets a little tough to fill up the time. We do have some cloudiness moving in on Saturday, but again, not an issue for anybody or anything. 94 on Sunday will kick off the heat wave if we don't hit 90 on Saturday, and then each day after that gets a bit warmer. We will probably top out around 97 or 98 Wednesday, Thursday, and possibly Friday. And so even though we're not at that 105 degree heat index, prolonged heat at that level oftentimes will also trigger a heat advisory from the National Weather Service. So we'll see how they play that. Heat waves are kind of graded by intensity, which would be the heat index or just the straight temperature, and duration. Anything over 5 or 6 days would count as a wave or heat wave, I think, in anybody's book. That smoke is overhead. Again, I looked at the moon just when I came in here a few minutes ago. It didn't look much different. In fact, it was fairly white or whitish blue, but the smoke is forecast to continue to stream in here and a little bit thicker than it's been in the last couple of days. So if you do notice that haziness in the atmosphere, that's where it's coming from. We're at 76 now. The humidity is at 62%. Very nice evening out there with temperatures settling in around 70 to 75 across the tri-state, and feels like temperatures pretty close to those numbers as well. The humidity, again, not really a deciding factor here. Lows today got down into the mid-60s. I believe we hit 66 at Evansville Regional, and then we were up to 88 or so this afternoon, give or take. I don't have the official number. They're still working on the equipment there at the airport that records that high and low. Rainfall for the month is still about 1.25 inches above or ahead of where it should be, and our average temperature continues to trend up as well. The U.S. Drought Monitor updated today. We don't have any drought worries. One thing in the back of my mind, though, is that if we go through this whole week at 95 or greater and no rain and low humidity, we could see what we would call a flash drought. In other words, it's sudden onset, a rapid onset drought, where you've gone along more or less with normal rainfall, and then it just stops for a couple of weeks, and you couple that with intense heat, and we can quickly roll back into a localized drought situation. So that's something we'll be watching. You'll definitely need to be watering or irrigating out there if you still have your yard green and landscape and things like that. Clearing, warmer tomorrow, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Again, the national map, it really is only lit up out in the plains here in Nebraska. We have a few thunderstorms in Montana, and then to the east, there's one warning out here to the north of New York around Albany or Schenectady. I mean, when they're that far apart, you know, there's not much going on anywhere in the country. And with high pressure building over the region, a heat dome, not a lot's going to change here in the coming several days. Maybe a shower or two across Chicago there late Friday night. Otherwise, we're still sitting here dry and a little more humid as each day goes by next week. Our first whiff of rainfall on the GFS model doesn't show up until after Friday next week, and at that range, I wouldn't trust it anyway. So you're not going to see any rain populating our rain potential map there. 65 degrees, see what I mean? I mean, there's just nothing. 65 overnight, 87 tomorrow, and then the heat comes in a big way next week. I think I said that maybe 12 times already, and it'll stay hot too through the 10th of September and dry as well. So we've kind of rolled back over into abnormally dry conditions. Gracie is our weather pick tonight, our pet pick tonight, and she is going to stare you down there with those big yellow eyes. So well, that's kind of unnerving. We might start losing viewers here if I don't hurry up. Let me get over here and answer your questions. Laura Gray's on there. Laura's almost always the first person in the queue here, so thanks, Laura, for your dedication. You must just sit there and wait, and as soon as we're on, you comment in, so I appreciate that. It's like a, you know, like a reunion here every night, seeing the same names. Suzanne Daly's on. Good evening. Cheyenne Hammond's another regular. Usually it's between Cheyenne and Laura for who gets in there first. Jeff Miller, certifying this is a nice evening out there in Savah and Posey County. It is indeed. Misty Sensmeyer, I'm dreading the heat wave next week. Yeah, not going to be much fun, but yeah, we'll get through it. I mean, you know, it's certainly been hotter this year and dangerously so. This is just going to be uncomfortably or inconveniently hot, if that makes sense. Michael Travis, partial lunar eclipse tonight, max at 11:12. That is correct. We're going to talk about that here directly. Jeanette Rice, good evening. Carrie Swanson, hope this is the last heat wave for the year. Well, it has to be, don't you think, Carrie? We've had enough. I have lost track. This is either the 6th or 7th heat wave. Heat wave defined, you know, 3 or more days at either a high heat index value or higher 90s out there. At least that's just kind of a spitball definition for it, but we've certainly had our share. So we have the lunar eclipse happening tonight. Remember, the moon, our nearest neighbor out there in space, about 250,000 miles away. On average, its orbit is actually kind of elliptical or oblong, so there are times when it is close and times when it is farther away. And as the moon takes 28 or 29 and a half days to go around the Earth is turning all the time, 1 revolution per day, right? So each day then, because we're changing 2 variables there, the moon will appear later in the sky. Now it follows the elliptical, and as the tilt of the Earth changes, you'll notice the moon comes up farther to the north of east and then farther to the south of east, right, as we get into the fall and winter months. All that to say that the moon rise time then varies by about 40 minutes or so each night. It comes up a little bit later because of the, we're not completely in sync. But also because of that, we usually get at minimum 2 lunar eclipses a year and at most 5. And typically we get 2 or 3 in a calendar year. And so the moon tonight, for instance, rose at 7:16. The shadow of the Earth will be between the sun and the moon, and at 11:12, that will be the peak. Now, you know, that's why we also have phases to the moon. You're just seeing the shadow of the Earth projected onto the moon. So every month it's pretty reliable there. You get a new moon, which I guess technically would be a full eclipse, right? But it would be, it lasts too long. We're talking about just when the shadow of the moon, of the Earth rather, grazes the moon there for a short period of time. The lunar eclipse, as I said, will max out at 11:12, but you might start to see just a little nibble taken out of the moon there beginning at about 9:34, and then it will clear out at 12:51 a.m. So you don't need any special gear to look at it. I've tried various ways of photographing the moon with a phone, with an iPhone, and you can adjust your exposure to bring it down a little bit so you can see some detail up there. We'll leave that up to you. You certainly have time. It's not a fast-moving event. The eclipse itself, even at maximum, you've got several minutes on either side to get your camera shots composed and lined up. That's all I have for you on the weather show tonight. I appreciate you watching tonight and every night. Stay safe. I'll see you on 14 News at 10.